All right, back here again with Captain Marty. He's got another one of his great stories for us. Marty, what are we going to talk about today?
Test, Justin, for you, for starters.
Oh, great.
What is the nickname of the Outer Banks?
The nickname of the Outer Banks.
Think on the water, maritime. What do they call the Outer Banks?
I have often heard it referred to as the graveyard of the Atlantic.
Very good.
Oh, gosh. Did I get a star for the day?
And you've heard him say there's over 600 shipwrecks on the Outer Banks.
Something like that.
I almost added the 601st one as a rookie captain on the famous Tarheel. Wow, what
That's
a
John
day.
Bayliss' boat.
John Bayliss' first boat.
First boat, excuse me.
Yeah, and so I'm going to tell you how that happened and how he reacted, which was both bad and then good. So I'll be right back.
Reel. That's the first word that comes to mind when I think about Outland Seafood in Mans Harbor. Yeah, they're the first and last place you see coming to and leaving the Outer Banks on Highway 64 in Dare County, but they're also real when it comes to fresh local seafood. Troy Outland, real. Curtis and Josh, real. The indoor crab shedders, real. Stop by and see for yourself right next to White Shopping Center and check them out on social media. Outland Seafood in Mans Harbor, real.
What could possibly be more fun than watching a bottlenose dolphin swim and play in the water right beside you? Hop aboard Harbor Star Dolphin Tours at Wanchese Marina and witness this remarkable animal up close. The Harbor Star is a spacious 50-foot vessel with a wide, shady canopy that runs 2-hour trips multiple times a day, including a breathtaking sunset cruise. To book your tour, go online to wanchesemarina.com and click Harbor Star Dolphin Tours. See the majestic bottlenose dolphin up close with Harbor Star Dolphin Tours.
In my fleet career as a mate, 2 years in Hatteras, 6 years at Oregon Inlet, 8 years in North Carolina as a mate. When I got to Oregon Inlet, I fished on the Sundancer with Nevin Westcott for 2 years. And then I fished with Fighting Lady Sam for 2 years, following in John Bayliss' footsteps as a mate. And then John got his own boat, the Tarheel, that Ricky Scarborough built, the 47-foot single-engine Tarheel. And so we were best friends, roommates, all that stuff. And he said, "You want to be my mate?" Now, being a mate on an Oregon Inlet charter boat is demanding. You're a lot of hours together. It's probably not best that you live with the captain, you know.
Right.
So I said, "I'll do it, but I got to move out. I got to get my own place to live."
Yeah.
It can be very hectic. And John was only in his second year as a captain. The Tarheel was his baby, you know, and there's a lot more to the story than we'll have time to tell on this part of it. But I will tell you, we'd fished a while, and like Nevin Westcott and like Sam Stokes, I'd run both of their boats. I had my captain's license. Both of them were great teachers, and I'd filled in here or there and got through it without any problems. Again, I cannot tell you, for a little guy from Florida to come up into the Oregon Inlet Fishing Center in a brand new Oregon Inlet charter boat and come in that marina when it's blowing southwest 30 and all the legends of the East Coast are zipping around back and forth in there with their single engine boat. If you don't think that would make you nervous, you would be amazed. But it made me nervous. But when I got on the Tarheel, I had a little bit of experience. I was still definitely a rookie captain. John said, "Hey, I need you to run the boat tomorrow. You want to run it?" I'm like, "Yeah." We had the right charter. They were a regular group, and they were happy. They didn't care, you know. So we ended up going up to the fuel dock. You used to have to leave your slip and go up to the fuel dock. And John pulled in there, and we were fueling up. And he said, "All right, I'm going to go up to the ship store and pay my bill and do this and do that. You take the boat back to the slip. It'll be good practice for you for tomorrow."
Okay.
"Oh, yeah, I can handle that. You know, no problem." And this is a single engine boat. I think you know, Justin, that with two motors, it's like a bulldozer. You can put one in forwards and one in backwards and spin on a dime.
Yes.
One motor, there is no steerage unless you have water flowing by the rudder. So that's why everyone thinks they're showing off. They're not. The more momentum you have to your boat, the better steerage you have.
Right.
Because you can't steer with the motors. You have to steer with the rudder connected to the steering wheel, and you're up on the flying boat. But I'd practice. I knew that a single engine boat, all single engine boats pull to one side or the other, depending on which way the wheel spins. I knew how to compensate for that. I knew how to put the bow up into the wind so that the wind becomes the second motor. And as you're backing up to the slip, people would say, why are you you're not even lined up straight on the slip. If you were lined up straight on the slip, then when you got to the mouth of the slip, your bow would be going downwind. There's no recovering from that. So you got to lay your bow up into the wind. And when you're beginning, lay it way up into the wind, get to the slip, the mouth of the slip, and then when the wind blows you straight, throw her in reverse, and off you go. Really, in all my life, I don't know of a greater satisfaction or thrill or sense of accomplishment that I had than the privilege in the era of the single-engine charter boats of docking a custom-built North Carolina charter boat in the Oregon Inlet Fishing Center. A thrill in the boat handling world that most people will never have. So I'm bragging a little bit there, but it was a privilege amongst other things.
Nice.
When you have people like Omi and Tony Tillett giving you tips on how to get the boat in the slip, it just, these were my idols growing up. So John's gone, there's no mate. So I just untied the stern of the boat, and the boat's already idling, and then climb up on the flying bridge. I really do it the cool way, like didn't have to have a mate to go to the dock.
Yeah.
So I pull out the marina, I line up a little bit upwind, I put her in reverse, and I'm brum, 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 going backwards. You know that noise. You've been around it all your life. And I'm coming down, the bow's blowing down. You're timing that so that, the really good ones don't stop at the mouth of the slip. They got it hit. They timed it perfectly. So that, and our listeners cannot see that I'm making hand motions here, but you know that when you get down to the mouth of the slip, if you have to stop and take her out of gear or bump her in forward, then that's okay. You'll still get in the slip, but you're not as cool as the guys that can do it without stopping.
Right, yeah.
So I'm young captain. I want to be cool too. So I'm backing up, and I got that part right. I nailed it. And there's nobody else on my boat now. And then you're into the slip. You're still going backwards momentum, keeping a little bit of water flow over the rudder. You pass the intermediate pilings, the two middle ones. And about that time, you have to put on the brakes. There's no brakes on a boat.
No.
So you have to take it out of reverse, move that single throttle and gear shift to neutral, and then into forward. Then now you have to turn the wheel the other direction, because now instead of going one way over the rudder, it's going the opposite way. So I did all of those things. As I went by the intermediate piling, I'd already been taught, this is where you put her in forward, right about here, conservatively. You're not going to hot dog. And then I had her going pretty good pace. I put her in forward gear, and it took me to like a split second to realize it's still going backwards in gear.
And what happens next? Holy smokes. Stick around, we'll be right back.
Hey y'all, Captain Marty here to tell you that when my friends are in the market for a new boat engine or repair, I send them to the best, and that's at Ratcliffe Marine in Belhaven. Ratcliffe Marine is your official Suzuki outboard dealer. Suzuki motors are designed to get you on the water fast and get you back to the dock whenever you're ready. Ratcliffe Marine is also the largest repower center in North Carolina. So when you're in the market for a new motor or you need your Suzuki serviced, go to Ratcliffe Marine, 865 Highway 264 in Belhaven. And so I like, what happened? So then you panic and you start mashing that the clutch, the gear shift level, mashing it forward, and then you grab the throttle and start revving that up to get it to catch.
Right.
Because on those twin disc gears, there's a delay. There's a delay of a second and a half. It's a lot of delay, and you got to factor all that in. So the boat's still going backwards. There's crowd of people in the dock. John's still over on the other side, and she kept going backwards past the intermediate piling, past the finger pier.
Oh no.
And then it hit, there was a sawed off short piling right dead center on the stern, and I hit that thing. It sounded like a cannon went off, and the minute it did hit it, it knocked a hole all the way through the stern of the boat the size of a piling. The minute that happened, then the motor caught in gear.
Oh, gosh.
And she shot back out of the slip again with a huge hole. A hole that was about 16 inches wide and about 2 feet deep. Thank goodness it didn't go below the waterline, but it went to the waterline. So anyway, it shot back out of the slip. And the lesson that I learned from that was when you put and other captains came over there. When you put the boat in gear, you got to mash the clutch forward. So it made this loud noise. I heard wood splinter, and as it shot back out of the slip, there was chunks of wood in the water behind the boat, and people started running over there like, what happened? What happened? Not the first person to ever hit the dock at Oregon Inlet, but when you're a rookie, they all say that's his inexperience, and it was. So the second time I got her back into the slip, shaking like a leaf. I wasn't shaking because of the damage to the boat. I was shaking because John Bayliss
I was going to say
was going to come back, and he knew we were going to be happy. Well, meanwhile, John is walking back all the way. We're on the ocean side of the marina. It's a long walk. He gets down there by the headboat, in that headboat corner up there, and Bull Tolson, who saw the whole thing, is going the other direction. And he sees John, and he says, John, I just heard a really loud noise when your boat came into the dock. And immediately, John Bayliss well enough to know, all the alerts went on right then. That's his livelihood, his boat. So Bull tried to get in front of him, and John was trying to walk around him. He couldn't. And finally, he shoved Bull off to the side and started coming down the dock. So meanwhile, I threw that line on that stern cleat. I jumped on the dock to meet him halfway down the dock. And I can tell you that was a memory of a lifetime because he was really concerned. He came down there, the boat safely in the slip. I'm scheduled to run it the next day now. And then, I'm like, well, there went my chance to run his boat. So he comes down there. He looks at it. Anybody hurt? No, nobody's hurt. Did it break the framework of the boat below the water? Do we have a leak we might not know about? No, it's above the water line. It was actually it was right around the boot stripe. So here's what we did. First, we went in the cabin and we had a little talk.
Oh, okay.
and to his everlasting credit, he said, look, it can happen to anybody. What did you do? And I told him, and he said, okay, here's what you did wrong. And after we got through that, he said, all right, we got to fix it. You have to run this boat tomorrow. I'm like, are you kidding me? He's going to still let me run this boat? So we had to run to Wanchese. We had to get some plywood, some epoxy, and whatever. And we were down there until 2 a.m, hanging over the stern, putting a plywood patch with 5200 and all the stuff to keep it sealed, and sealed her up. And this is a funny part of the story. A lot of people don't know why we were getting ready. Just before we were getting ready to put that plywood on there, we had a hat. It was our good luck hat we kept on the boat. He got that hat and he stuck it in the framework of the boat. Before we nailed it, he said, that'll be for good luck.
Oh, okay.
So we put that in there and spent half the night nailing it, and then he left. And he said, all right, good luck tomorrow. So I went home, took a shower. I had just about to turn around and come back. Charlie Griffin was my mate at the time. So we went out the next day, and believe it or not, we caught 2 blue marlin, not 1, but 2. So that's a really good day. We had a good catch. And everything I did, I was on so alert. And then coming back into the marina that evening, you would be really nervous too, Justin, if you had to deal with something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was blowing hard too, And so I had to think, okay, you got to just be cool. And remember, when you put her in forward gear, put her all the way in forward gear. Make sure it can't go any further in forward gear. But as I swung out from the slip, and you have to find your slip too. If they all have numbers, I found my slip. I'm making a good approach, and something catches my eye in the back of that slip. And I look. First of all, there was 5 polyballs, big orange polyballs.
Oh, Lord.
Tied to all the pylons around the slip. And as a kicker, somebody had stolen, and I had to say stolen, a stop sign from some street corner somewhere. And that thing was nailed to the pylon on the back of the slip. And I'm like, okay, this is where don't hit the dock again.
Wow.
And I have questioned him for years about that. John Bayliss, I know on your day off you went down there and he swears he didn't do it, but I think better. And a really interesting footnote. You remember a couple years ago, John Bayliss, of course, is a famous boat builder.
Yes.
In Wanchese, world class. He took the old Tarheel. He had bought it back. It had been sold. He bought it back. Remember, he reconditioned the whole boat. Mm-hmm. He did a total yacht thing. And when they did, they rebuilt the stern and did some framework in there. And they cut it open, and he went looking for that hat. It was not in there.
What?
We don't know what happened to that hat. But for whatever, it's in an enclosed area. You know how that
Yeah,
works?
yeah.
All glued and
Uh-huh.
not even the threads of a rotted, it was gone. Gone. So anyway, or whatever it was, that was the first thing he did when they tore the stern out of it. They said, I want to find that hat, and it was gone. So anyway, that was, I ran that boat, as you know, a couple more times that summer, and then I ran it for 2 full years with Charlie Griffin as my mate when John's dad was tragically killed in a car accident, and he had to go to California and run the family business. And the memories we made on that boat and the fish we caught. And of course, Charlie left us this year tragically, but John's still going hard at it, and I'll be fishing with him again someday. And that's my story.